everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Going Over podcast. I believe this is 103. It is your neighborhood friendly coach, trainer, promoter, and a 44-year-old professional wrestler, Zack Primetime Reeb, and I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, as always, the 7-foot wrecking ball, Paul Isadora. Paul, welcome. Dang it, I spit all over the screen. To the program. Welcome to the program tonight, afternoon.
That's it, man. How is everything going? I'm I just got done unloading a ring all by myself, putting it in my shed, just just getting ready, man. We got
Now,
some we got some fantastic news, man. It's exciting. We got another bot show, man. So just who knows?
another
You always hope that someone's gonna say, "Hey, man, we want you to do shows here. Uh, we'd like you to to leave a ring here, buy a ring, put it here, store it here, things like that." I know SPW had that at some point with that Petaluma place where uh, well, I think it was called Punk Slam or something like that. So
bot
that's
show, like you paid, someone has paid you, they're going to store your
so
ring or what?
someone has paid us to do another show, man. So
Oh, well, spill the beans, brother. Spill the beans, right? There's no better place to spill the beans than right here on the Going Over podcast. Come on, what do we got? Where are we going?
uh, we're going back out to Winnemucca. Different place though. Different place in Winnemucca, but same results, man.
Is
This
there
is
more
just
than one?
uh I don't know exactly where this one is gonna be in reference to the last one. I know the last one was I don't even know what the two names of the streets were. I just remember when I was driving up, seeing the huge crowd, um, and seeing you guys wrestling when I pulled up last time. So um, the first time we did it on the opposite side of that same hotel, I think, in a different lot. So um, yeah, so this one, I think this one is in March. So we're doing March there, then we're doing May there. So um, two different
March and May.
organizations, two different organizations, same town, but I don't know, man. It's always funny when someone's like, "Oh, people aren't going to pay you for to bring that promotion to their town." It's like, I beg to differ. But you know how it is, man. I just like to put my head down and concentrate on what matters to me, man, and that's my promotion, right? I could I could care less what's going on. You think about it. And I was thinking about that at work today. It's like, you know, I just concern myself with what I'm doing, man. I don't give a shit what everybody else is doing. I'm not competing with anybody else. I'm competing with me, the guy that I look at in the mirror every day. So it is very reminiscent of the conversations that I have with my basketball players. And it's like, the only thing that you can do is you can work on getting yourself better, right? You don't need to worry about what other people are doing. Just put your head down and grind. Get it done, get better, work on getting better every day. So that is definitely what I'm trying to do myself, put it into practice. So it's not just a do as I say, not as I do. It'll be a do as I do, just like I say, you know? So yeah, so exciting, man, and it's obviously it's just this is the beginning of what's going to continue to be more and more of these type of things.
Well, I'm going to go absolutely fucking crazy because literally less than every minute the screen starts to darken and I don't know what the fuck's going on. A different link was sent to me. It was the actual fucking StreamYard duck. And I don't know if I got it in me, man. These Sundays have started to wear and fucking tear on me, man. Life has started to wear and tear on me. Everything starts to like bother me, and I start to project, and I have to calm myself down. It's like, oh, look at me, I got to touch the screen every 45 seconds. There's so much. I just get flustered on these long Sundays after long weekends, man. And I was listening to AEW had the big Full Gear pay-per-view, right? And everyone, 10,300 fans, whatever it are. We'll probably get the official numbers and results when the real numbers come out. Maybe that was the real numbers. I don't know. But I know when we looked at it, there was an argument with Ricochet and Jim Cornette online. And Jim's over here saying that the wrestlers nowadays are killing themselves and hurting themselves. And Ricochet said, I'll take this generation over any generation because this generation isn't fucking popping pills, doing drugs, drinking themselves stupid, beating their wives, cheating on their wives, this and that. How many of those old wrestlers who were protecting themselves ended up with bad hips and all this stuff? There was a lot of good like argument back and forth. And I can't argue the fact that the wrestlers back in the day used to pop pills. And I can't argue the fact that they were cheating on their wives and all this stuff. But then there's other things that went into it, right? Is like you're working 300 something times a year, right? You're on the road 300 something days a year. You get no days off. Nobody cares about your health. You don't get mental health days off. You don't get to get sleep. You don't get to do that thing. This screen is absolutely going to drive me crazy. But we're gonna finish this one off. And one thing that really, I hear a lot of attacking on Jim Cornette, and I think what Jim's trying to say, what everybody else is missing, is that, man, how many false finishes can we do? What do you have to do to put your opponent away? I was sitting at class today, and we were, a couple guys were in the ring working around, and when he pulled him off the turnbuckle, he actually pulled him off the turnbuckle and poked him in the eyes and then tried to continue to wrestle. And I said, you can't do that. You cannot do that, because if you poke this guy in the eyes, then he can't see. Why are you going to pick him up and try to start wrestling with him? And what's the rest of the card going to do if you've already burned the fact that poking him in the eyes isn't going to work? If you low blow him and I see it as a referee, I'm going to fucking disqualify you. Most importantly, when you look at this stuff, you got to say, hey, in the UFC, if you poke somebody in the eyes or hit them below the belt, they have 5 minutes. They will stop the contest, and there is 5 minutes to see if this person can recover from the eye poke, or if they can recover from the kick, the punch, whatever, below the belt. And if they can't, and let's just say a title's on the line, if they can't do this, if they can't recover from this, they lose. That championship changes hands. So I feel like we have to go into this already what everyone deems as this fake and senseless, silly pro wrestling, and we have to go into it, and we do have to make sense of this stuff. If you're going to low blow this guy, if you're going to fucking poke this guy in the eye, if you're going to do these things, and I'm not saying you can't do it later, okay? Don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying you can't do it later. But what I am saying is, if you don't sell it properly, then nobody else can do it later. As a promoter, as whatever, there I go, clicking again. As a promoter, as a wrestler, we have to go pay for another building, promote another show, get another round of insurance for that to work again on a show. We don't get, if you're in match one and you low blow the guy in front of the referee and nobody gets DQ'd, or you get warned and then the guy doesn't sell it properly, We can't use that later in the card. Match 2 through 22 or whatever, how many ever matches you have on your card, we cannot use that again. So I was trying to explain, don't poke a guy in the eye for no fucking reason just to whip him off the road. He's blind, right? He can't fucking see. The most barbaric uh, fighting competition out there in the world today, if you get poked in the eye, they stop the goddamn fight, and the fight could end if the guy can't recover in 5 minutes. So, oh, I'm going to ram your head in the buckle. I blocked it, pulled you off. Doink, poked you in the eye. Here, now I'm going to ram your head in the buckle and whip you off the fucking ropes. No, it doesn't make sense. You can't do that. That's what I was trying to explain about that today. And that's what Jim Cornette is trying to explain. He's not saying we can't show athleticism, but what do you got to do? I mean, we've got fucking flamethrowers. You know what I mean? We got fish tanks that we're trying to drown guys in. Everybody's hitting big moves. Everybody's bleeding. Everybody's going through tables. They talk about these AEW pay-per-views being this unbelievable thing. Hey, man, every fucking pay-per-view is a goddamn hardcore special stipulation match with weapons and chairs and everything. I thought this is where the best wrestle. That's what Tony Khan's saying. He's saying this is where the best wrestle. How come every fucking pay-per-view is every match a goddamn no disqualification special stipulation match with blood and weapons and no rules? Why is the ref even out there? What's he doing?
Exactly. Well, and you think about obviously Jim Cornette had Bobby Eaton that was uh, very athletic and did a lot of exciting things, right? Could fly off the top rope. They described him like I think about Rick Luxury. I often tell people about like I was wrestling him. I was on the mat. I didn't hear if he said stay or move, and he hit me with a leg drop off the top, right? And it fucking landed perfect. But it's also one of those things where you go, the guy's probably going to land exactly in the same spot regardless, right? It's not going to matter if he's going to miss or hit it. He's going to land in the same spot. But you have those guys like Bobby Eaton that could do those things, but also was a great storyteller, so Jim Cornette, just like you said, he's not saying don't be athletic, don't do athletic stuff, but he's also saying, it can't be a fucking car crash every single match, right? There has to be some psychology stuff. There has to be working a body part. There has to be, trying to weaken your opponent to get to you or whatever your finish is, right? You talk about it so often about the super kick being your finish, and you're going to work on the head and neck, and I'm going to try to weaken you so my move when it hits, it's that much more effective, right? Because now you're weakened. You can't um, you can't absorb the punishment because you're in a weakened state, right? You are more susceptible to getting knocked out by getting kicked in the face. So, that storytelling, and you say it all the time about all the different, a guy getting a destroyer through a table on the outside, but that doesn't finish him, and something, weaker does, or you're kicking out of these huge devastating moves when back in the day, guys would get hit, would get beat by a crossbody or get beat by, uh, an elbow strike or, something simplistic, a clothesline, DDT, like all these different things that you think about, like that used to be finishers that are just now some sort of transition or, uh, you know, a high spot in the middle of a longer spot. It means absolutely nothing because we kick out of everything, right? Things are transition, things are getting kicked out of. Some of these moves, they don't mean anything, right? You use the super kick that used to be, uh, you get hit with that. you know the guy's not getting up, right? Because that's the guy's finish, And obviously we had that, you know, the transition from uh, having a guy kick out of a finisher once a year to now it's going to happen multiple times throughout the same show, sometimes multiple times within the same match. Where somebody gets hit with a big move and they kick out, right? It's just it's a near fall, or sometimes not even a near fall. Sometimes it's the guy kicks out right at two or right after two. It's there's no suspense. You don't have to go, oh, that was almost a finish or whatever, right? You didn't build up this finish over several months or years where nobody gets out of it, nobody kicks out, and now it's a big event. You and I talk about the huge draw, right? When we can't sell one more ticket to the event, that's when you're going to do something big, right? That's when you're going to, a table spot or whatever. I know you've used different examples recently, but that's when it used to be, right? You're trying to build, you're trying to draw the audience into the building, um, and then when you can't sell one more ticket, then it's like, okay, now we can give them something special, something unique. But it's turned into everybody doing something like that all the time.
Well, what do you remember? We go back and talk about that all the time. What do you remember? I I don't remember too much of anything that's happened a lot lately, and I'll flip over to WWE. I remember CM Punk coming back at Survivor Series. I remember, God, I remember John Cena going heel. I mean, I remember a couple things, but I don't really remember too much. And I watch all the recaps. I watch Raw on Netflix because I got Netflix, and I watch it that religiously on a Monday or after, because it's streamed. I can watch it anytime. All the episodes are there, but I don't remember. But I can remember so much from back in the day, and it wasn't because I was a bigger fan or I was digesting more wrestling back in the day. It's because it was more memorable. If you do too much, I can't remember. God, there's some great athletes out there, man. There's some really great athletes out there, but I can't remember what these fucking athletes are doing. You know what I can remember? I can remember the 7-game World Series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. And the story of that World Series was amazing. It was, if that was any other team the Blue Jays, the mighty, mighty Blue Jays were playing, they would have put them away. But they were playing the Dodgers, and everybody goes, I hate the fucking Dodgers because they have such a high payroll and they have the best players. Well, guess what? Because of that payroll, because of those amazing players, they were able to be the one team that found a way, inch by inch, pitch by pitch, hit by hit, to survive and take that game 7. I mean, I believe it was 3 or 4, went 18 innings. You know what I mean? Like and then Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off homer. The Dodgers found a way, but what the young Blue Jays found was they lost, and they learned a valuable lesson, and now they're going to come back. And if they can keep that same team and add on to that team, now they have experienced that World Series, 7 games, 11 innings to the wire against the high-powered Dodgers. They're going to be better than they were before. And they are going to close in on, now they got what it takes to win a championship. The same as Michael Jordan and the Bulls with those dreaded Pistons for so long. Isaiah Thomas, the Pistons, just Bill Laimbeer put it to them. And it took them 3 or 4 years of just getting the shit kicked out of in the playoffs by the Pistons before Michael Jordan and the Bulls had learned their valuable lessons and were finally experienced enough and have learned from this shit to move along and finally win the championship and start that first three-peat. And that's what professional wrestling is about the competition, right? because we say all these things. I'm so tired of just everybody kind of, it's almost like a two-face type thing. Everyone's like, well, AEW is the best wrestling and the most competitive guys. And then it's like we get to the pay-per-view and it's fucking blood, gore, gut. That Tony Khan loves blood. I'm going to be honest with Tony right now. He loves blood. Hey, if you're looking to top what ECW did on a massive stage in front of 10,000 people with the money and everything behind, you're doing a great job of that. But we have to go back to Dynamite. We have to go back to Collision. You know what I mean? And WWE gets a bad rap sometimes. It's boring as fuck. I'll agree. It's boring as fuck. But they're trying to get you to go somewhere so that you can pay to watch something. They're taking you on a longer ride with the characters and the stories than these other guys. These are a lot of championships, a lot of matches, a lot of time where you go, oh my God, match of the night, match of the night, match of the night, match. How many matches of the night are we going to see in 1 week or one pay-per-view? And what else can we do to each other? What else can we do to each other before we become desensitized and we think that every wrestling match just has to be some nobody versus a star, a guy getting a championship match versus some nobody on a Dynamite or a Collision, and it took this dude 25 fucking minutes and everything in his wheelhouse, every tool in his toolbox to put this guy away who's not even up for a title shot.
Right. I mean, I just remember how it used to, the old school wrestling, how you'd be building stars like that. A guy would just be kicking the shit out of people for week after week after week. And, many times you wouldn't see one star versus another on television, right? Because they were trying to draw you in to buying a ticket to going to one of the live events, They were trying to get you to that point where they go, okay, well, I want to pay to see, Hulk Hogan against John Studd or whatever. You see that they're getting wins, but they're not fighting another star, or where you would see, you wouldn't get to see these big matches on TV because they wanted to draw you in, so you would purchase the pay-per-view. Right? They're looking to make more money off of this. They're not giving you a big matchup for free on television, right? So, and obviously things have changed drastically from that. You're telling me about was Blood and Guts, um, was that on TV, free TV?
Free TV, men and women's.
So it's just, I don't know, man. It's unbelievable that that's the way that it is. You think about, this is supposed to be a business, right? This is supposed to be something where you're trying to make money. Unless the tickets to go watch that live were super expensive, then obviously you can kind of justify it. But if you can sit home and watch it for free on your couch, you're not really taking advantage of building those stories where people give a shit and they're willing to shell out, whatever it is for a pay-per-view these days.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of wrestling, man. There's so much wrestling everywhere. It's like, just so much. I just saw Shotzi Blackheart won the MLW Women's Championship, and she's got like 5 or 6 belts. And then Mercedes Moné has like 13 championships, and she just walked out at some indie show, and they had a screen right there, but the curtain that was supposed to separate the locker room from, seeing the wrestlers, where the audience is out into the high school gymnasium, fell over. You know what I mean? She worked it and everything, but it's like, what was it? I thought she was saying it's $20,000 to book her. What I saw in that high school gymnasium, man, you can't. They definitely blew a lot of money. Are they paying that? Is that what's really going on? But there's just so much wrestling to digest, man. I'm almost baffled at the amount of professional wrestling there is. I talk about it locally. There's a lot of shit locally, and you see a lot of shows where you look in the audience and you don't see a lot of people. So people are just running wrestling shows. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're good wrestling shows. Apparently, they're being done from these same venues with the same audience. You know, sometimes there are good wrestling shows. I've seen wrestling companies that are have to have a payroll of $10,000 to $12,000 in a big market area like a San Francisco or in Oakland. And we're talking 5 million people you could view from. And you know, some of those shows are being labeled as a sellout with 400 fans. Like if you look at the percentage of the people and the percentage of who showed up and what the payroll is with flights and hotels and accommodations and what you paid that person and everything, is that really a good number that you drew at the show? Did you make a shit ton of money off of that event? I don't know what promotion is nowadays. I was telling you earlier this week, it's like if I pay somebody or I pay something, in Instagram or Facebook or somebody, if I pay for a billboard, if I pay for those things, I'm paying an advertiser to advertise for me. But we call ourselves promoters, right? So as a promoter, I'm going to go get my posters and my flyers and my tickets, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go into the area, whether it's 30 miles or whether it's 1 hour, 60 miles in the circumference around the venue in the city I'm running in. And I'm going to put posters up and little flyers on the counter. And I'm gonna give some tickets away to some businesses, and I'm gonna get businesses. I'm gonna promote my product to businesses so that they can promote and advertise that stuff out there, because that's what the promoter does. I'm not trying to advertise on a national level, because no matter, even if I do, even if all these people watch Limelight, even if there was 10,000 views, whatever, a week, and people were watching all over the world, does that translate into a $25 to $30 ticket at my live event? Am I selling a hot dog and a soda to those people at my live event? Is a t-shirt being sold there? That's the question, right? Like how does everything that's going on translate into money? Do you know what I mean? How does this
Oh,
translate into money?
right, exactly. You think about that. I've heard the question about giving away free tickets, right? You're gonna give away free tickets. A lot of times I'm gonna give away tickets to kids, right? Because in most cases, a kid is gonna be brought by a paying adult. So you're thinking about, okay, well, I might give away a free ticket, but maybe the parents come. And normally, if they didn't have to pay for a ticket, then maybe they're gonna buy t-shirt, maybe they're going to buy food, they're going to buy some sort of merchandise, concessions, things like that. So you look at the big picture. I mean, your shows are a great example as far as getting people into the building, um, and and having them go and buy concessions, making a big chunk of your money on the snack bar. So um, I think that's one way to approach things. We think about that type of scenario where you're like, hey, yeah, I'm not going to charge everyone for tickets, but I am going to have these items where I can make money on the back end after these people get into the door. Here's ways I can make some money. Whether, like I said, merchandise, things like that. I was talking to one of the sponsors, and they were talking about like the ways that you can do some of these things, and uh, you know, is it worthwhile give away those tickets with that expectation on the back end, or um, what is the goal? How do you go about making money? We talk about paid shows, where you kind of take the ability for you to go out there and sell a ton of tickets and make a good chunk of change, but you also have kind of you would look at the downside guarantee type of thing. Well, I'm going to get this much money, and then it's kind of on the person that purchased the show to go out and um, sell the tickets, right? So, and in many cases, someone's going to give you several $1,000s, but then they're going to go out there and they're going to sell $10,000 worth of tickets, and then you're left going, shit, man. They only gave me 5,000, and they sold $10,000 worth of tickets. Could I have done that as well? So I don't know. You think about both ends of that, or you think about like, well, if they don't do a good job promoting, at least I still got my money, right? So different ways to think about those things, as far as profiting off of these shows.
Well, you if you're in a bigger venue promotionally and with businesses giving away some tickets, especially if you got something to sell to the people or generate new fans, word of mouth is not a thing. What I'm referring to is there's so many small venues that everybody runs out of. We're going to be running prospects back out of the building over there. What, maybe 75, 100 fans you can put in there. I can't give anybody a free ticket, no matter who you are in that environment, because the only way I'm going to make money to pay the rent and do what we need to do in that environment is to sell that ticket. Now, we're in the big building in Red Bluff. We're in the big building in Marysville. We're in the big building in Oroville. Yeah, there's going to be a lot in the promotion that there's food, there's concession, there's merchandise, there's all kinds of stuff that you need the audience there, and you have a bigger room that you need to fill up. And even that, in a sense, shows to me the lack of interest in professional wrestling, to be honest with you, because if we can't fill 500 to 600 seats in a building that we're running in, if the capacity is 600 to 1,000 people and we can't fill it up, we have to be very honest with ourselves and say, we're not, nobody's drawing here, okay? I'll say it about myself 100% right there. If I'm not putting 1,000 seats in Oroville, I'm not a draw. Maybe I'm drawing whatever is in there, the 300-400 fans that are in there. And over time, if we do things the right way, which is why we tell the stories, maybe we can fill that up. But if you're running in a venue that has 100 or less, and that's where you continually are running, and you're not filling that venue up, every wrestler that's wrestling on that show needs to know one thing. You are not drawing the house. And most importantly, whether you think that you deserve to get like, hey, man, I've been around the business a while. This is what this guy pays me. This is what that guy pays me. If you can't fill up 100 seats in a building, then you're not worth the money that you're asking for. The promoter should be able to fill 100 seats in a building, especially if that's the main building that they run. There shouldn't be a bad night. And if there is a bad night, then you're definitely running way too many shows in that building. You have just killed the audience because I'll catch it next time. I'll come back. But in a sense, with the small stuff, you shouldn't be giving a ticket away. You should be generating 75 to 100 ticket sales. And if you can't, then you got to go back to the drawing board and go, why couldn't I get 75 to 100 people to come into this building and watch this wrestling? And you have to look at yourself at that point and go, and I've done it many times too. So I'm not dogging on anybody. I'm just saying, if you can't put 100 fans in a building to pay to watch your product, then there's a chance that your product just isn't that good. Nobody cares about it. The truth.
Absolutely. Well, I know that we had that one venue that we had 110 seats in there, right? It was our training school, and you could look at it as, oh, we're running house shows or student showcase shows, but we would we would bring people in for them, and it was like it was a hot ticket. We started off with not filling the building, and then slowly but surely getting to that point where we were turning people away, right? So and then that creates another good problem to have, right? Now I'm turning people away. Now instead of $15, I'm going to raise the ticket prices to 20, right? And if I still get that same 110 people, then obviously, I've boosted my sales by $500, right? So, and then obviously that's what you're looking to do. You're looking to say, okay, well, the next time, if we continue to sell this building out and people are getting turned away, and you got a line outside an hour before your show starts, um, then you bump the ticket prices again, right? So it's one of those things like um, you know that situation I think was amazing, right? You don't have to break your ring down. You don't have to do any of this other stuff. And as a result, we were able to get some sponsors where we could go, hey, uh, after the show is over, we're going to come to your establishment. We're going to bring all the wrestlers to your establishment. We've talked about that in the past, right? It's you get some place that you go, hey, we're going to have the quote unquote after party at your spot, right? We're going to bring this many people to your place, and we're going to everyone's going to eat and drink and things like that. Great opportunity for you to get some people on board where they're going, yeah, you know what, that is worth us giving you, $2,500, $5,000 for the year if you're coming here after every show every month. It's just one of those deals where you have the opportunity to go out and market your product, where people go, okay, yeah, that's worth spending some money on, because we're going to have all these people coming in and spending money at our place of business, whether it's a restaurant or a bar or things like that. So that was something that we did when we had that building. We had a bar that sponsored us, and it was not our proudest time sometimes, going in there just getting fucking shit house hammered, but a lot of fun, man. It was always we talk about the camaraderie of pro wrestling, man, and that it's this big family, and sometimes it's your opportunity to go out and get to know somebody. We talk about how that is when we just go out and break bread after the shows, right? We go out and we eat with people, and we talk about wrestling, we talk about families, we talk about um, life in general, man. And it's a good opportunity to get to know some guys that you may know on a very surface level because of pro wrestling, but being able to just kind of get in and get to know people a little bit better, I think is this great opportunity, man. So definitely one of the things that I love, and I know you guys do that after your shows and training sessions and things like that. Go out to eat and just enjoy people's company.
We're just off today.
We are.
We are fucking off today, man. My eyes are heavy. There might have to be another time besides late Sunday, man. The Sunday morning ones we did, well, it just seems to have a lot more oomph to it. I remember someone telling me, man, last Sunday it was so dark and depressing and dead. And I was like, yeah, no, it was dark. And they said, but then the next one that you did was just so positive and it was completely different. And then here we are on Sunday again at this new time we're doing it. And I'm looking at you and you're like, oh man, I'm just so, and I'm over here going, what the fuck? There's goddamn noise in the background. Shit's going off. The fucking washing machine circling 1,000 miles an hour. I keep hearing this click, 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 click thing. My eyes, I'm just like, what the, this is the worst time to do a fucking podcast. I can't think. You know what I mean? It was like the last fucking episode and the goddamn shit was dragging down and it was fucking dumb fuck just fucking dilly 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 dilly. And I'm just like, fuck, man. And that's what it is. It's, you know what it is? It's fucking depressing. Going on social media and reading shit. Going on social media and reading let's just get dark. Let's just keep it dark, right? Going on social media and reading a fucking wrestler on there on his social media page telling me they're right. Well, they're not. I guess they're telling me who my list of wrestlers I'd like to wrestle this year is. And then everyone goes in the comments and they're like, yeah, what about me? Oh, yeah, I forgot about you. Whoa, what about me and you in a retirement match? We got to at least do it one more time this year. And it's like, shut the fuck up. No, I would say nobody gives a shit, but you apparently give a shit. And 17 likes, but 152 fucking comments. You know what I mean? It's like, I just feel at times, if we're going to get dark, it's so fucking depressing, man. It gets so depressing. I was trying to get on the topic of the AEW, but I was trying to talk about Ricochet and Jim Cornette. And there's so many good points to that, right? Like there's so many good points, but at the same sense, I guess it's what you like. You know what I mean? Man, I think Eminem is the most talented artist in the world. And then my niece, I go over to a barbecue and my 21-year-old niece is over there and it's some guy going, you not a matter. You get it a bitter. You know what I did it. Did it a do. Did it a d. And I'm like, what the fuck did that guy just say? And like, oh man, he's lit. He's fly. He's fresh. He's dope. He's sickness. If will fire. Blah, blah, blah. Boy, crispy. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This guy sucks. This music, he's not, that's not even how he really sounds. He can't even really put two rhymes together if his life depended on it, but they like it. And that's the same damn argument about this wrestling as you sit here and you try to go, okay, guys, this is how we're going to generate a bad guy. And here's what we're going to do with the good guy. And we're going to do this. And here's where the story's going to go. And then everybody has a fucking opinion. Everybody thinks they could run a wrestling promotion. Everybody thinks they can promote. Everybody thinks that what they're doing is the best thing that's going around. They're the best coach. They run the best promotion. And it's depressing to me. Like you said earlier in the program, and I can't argue with that. You're like, I'm not competing with anybody. I'm doing my own thing. And we really have to do that. Like, I really do look at my wrestling company like it is the only wrestling company. If that makes any sense, it's like I know there's a lot of other stuff going on, but if you want to do it, respect it. If my students want to go work at it or watch it or whatever, and if I go there, we all have the same thing in common, right? We all love pro wrestling. We all like it in some sense, or we love it in some sense to be able to spend our own money and waste time away from our families to try to do something with this. But for me, I just really look like it's my own thing. I like going other places. I like seeing buddies and stuff like that. But it gets depressing at times when you see all the stuff that people are posting online, all the messages you get, the lack of audience and enthusiasm at wrestling shows. And I'm not saying this because I'm just like, it's hearsay. I'm saying it because it's right here in front of me on this cool little screen. You know what I mean? Someone's like, man, the show, here's pictures from the show last night. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I would have to go find a job after a couple of those type of shows. You know what I'm saying, Big Palsy?
Absolutely, man. Well, I mean, obviously that's always the goal, man, is to continue to grow your crowd and get those bigger shows. But unfortunately, that is the I don't want to say it's the downfall, but it's what is deemed acceptable at some point. Is, oh well, we only had 40 people here today. Ah, well, let's get ready for next month. You know, what are we doing? What are we doing next month? So
Shucks.
exciting, you know. But it's just you get to the point where instead of figuring out what you can do to get a bigger crowd, uh, you're worried about is like, all right, well, what do we have to do to run the next show? What do we have to do to put on the next show, and so all my buddies can wrestle. That's unfortunately that's kind of what it turns out to be, and that's why sometimes you have those 3 hour, 3.5 hour shows because you got 12, 15 matches because you got to get everybody on the card, you know? So, uh, I don't know. It's difficult to watch sometimes, especially um, when it's like, oh well, I'm gonna post this online too, right? I'm gonna post it online, and you watch it and you go, well, that was a terrible match. Uh, the crowd wasn't into it. The crowd was, there wasn't a big crowd. Uh, all the things that you don't want to happen to you as a promoter are just live on. You get to watch all these matches of those things happening, right? You're like, well, that match wasn't good, um, but I'm stealing the show with this match. Like, I don't know. Obviously, the show wasn't very good if you stole the show with that match. Um, and I don't know. It's just that you don't want the competition. You don't want to go, hey, well, I'm gonna go out and I got to wrestle this guy who's top notch, right? And I got to bring my game up to that level. It's I'll just wrestle this guy from wherever, this guy's wanting to wrestle me or whatever it is, and we'll just go out there and we'll just choreograph this match that in our minds is going to make sense in the back, and you go out there and you just go from step A to step B all the way through Z, and you know, and expect to come back through the curtain and everybody pat you on the back and tell you how good you are, and oh man, that was a great match out there. And I don't know, those
I love
are
when people tell me the obvious, like, hey, there's something sucked from my show. I'm like, you don't think I know? You know what I mean? That's my favorite part when they're like, "Oh man, they fucked up in this match, or this didn't make sense, or man, that was a shitty." Like, yeah, no shit, dude. You don't think I know? We sit here and we go, "Oh, this is going to be great. This is a great pairing. This is going to be good." Half the time when we think something's going to be good, it sucks because there's too many people. I was watching Limelight, and I was watching the end of you and Sergio, and I was looking at Sergio and me, how we just kept just gravitating towards the camera, right? And then I was looking over at Bad News and Dickie and everybody else, and I almost feel one of two ways. I almost feel like most people out here are like, I want to get as far away from that camera as I can, like they're trying to play hide and seek from the camera, or they believe that the camera should come to them. And that's what makes me laugh about these the production guys out there that are talking about how great at production they're doing, and a lot of them are doing it from like such a tiny little area, but it's like, no, the camera guys should not come to you. You should know where the camera guy is. You should know where the audience is. Like that's what I'm looking for when I'm out there. I'm like, where is the camera? And a lot of times it's hard to or rein in a fucking inexperienced wrestler to get them to move over towards the camera. Like I was watching your match, and Sergio's doing such a masterful job of selling. And the longer he sells, the more you get over. The longer he sells, the longer the audience starts to come up and get energetic and mix in and get involved. The longer he sells, the more story Doc Haywood gets to tell on the commentary. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, how about this? Oh, wham! And then he goes right into the camera. Ah, and then he lays on a girl's lap, and the girl's in the camera going, "Get him off of me! Get him off of me!" And then, the commentary Doc's going, "Oh, that girl looks like she doesn't want nothing to do with Sergio Santana." And then all this time has gone by, 30 seconds of what is actually entertaining shit to watch with nothing going on. And then you go, "Here, I'll help you out, young lady." And you pull Sergio off of her. And now it's on to the next place. And it's like when we're in the ring, I was watching Boyce and Cade, and then I'm listening to Doc, and that's what made me realize, like, really open my eyes. It's like whip from one corner to another, sprint, European uppercut in the corner, whip back across the ring to the other corner, sprint, European uppercut. So, like, how do you do commentary on that? What story can you tell when it's like, you can't get no camera view? You did the same thing 3 times. And the announcer's like, 1 corner, 2 corner, 3 corner. Whoa, 3 whips and 3 European uppercuts. Who gives a flying fuck? With my own thumb up my fucking ass. Yeah, good job, guys. And that's what and no stories being told there. No cameras being worked. Nothing's being, there's no shots there. It's just bang, uppercut, bang, uppercut, bang, uppercut. My favorite's when they start doing that new gay shit off the ropes. You know what I mean? Where they're like, "I'm going to hit you with something, and I'm going to run off the rope, and I'm going to quit selling. And as you run off the rope, I'm going to be there to meet you with something. And then I'm going to start making, and then I'm going to run the opposite way that I just came from while you stop selling and you catch me as I run off the rope. And we'll do that 10 times, and then I'll catch you with the German suplex." If I'm a commentator and we're actually trying to tell a story here, how do I fucking call that? Okay, Big Paul, forearm, comes running off ropes. Primetime follows him in, forearms him as he came off ropes. Now what's Primetime doing? He's decided he's going to run 16 feet the opposite way, away from his opponent. And Big Paul is now going to chase him 16 feet and hit him with a forearm. Do these forearms even matter? And why are these guys wearing themselves out, taking 9 to 10 steps, 18 feet across the ring to chase each other down and hit each other with pointless fucking forearms? This is a great contest, ladies and gentlemen.
Just put you to sleep, man. But that's I don't know, man. Obviously, that's my pet peeve on so many different matches, that it is so back and forth, right? Who's the babyface? Who's the heel? What's the story that we're trying to accomplish? How are you telling that story? So many questions pop into my head while I'm watching wrestling, right? And it's like, you know, you have, I guess you have a certain school of thought that goes, oh well, it's a back and forth contest. It's like, yeah, back and forth, that's great, but what are the fans doing while this thing is going back and forth? You know, are they able to give sympathy to the babyface? Are they able to boo the heel? Like, where do they have the opportunity to interact with this match if it is just back and forth, um, you know, action after action, right? Uh, it's difficult for them to get engaged in what's going on if um, there's nobody to boo, there's no one to cheer. It's just one thing happening after another. Like you're talking about the commentators having a difficult time describing the action because it's just one thing after another. There's no opportunity to take a breath and breathe and absorb what's going on, take it in, digest it a little bit. There's no opportunity to do that when we're just one move after the other. So, but that's definitely one of those deals where I'm watching wrestling and I'm just like, I can't get into it because At what point am I supposed to cheer? What point am I supposed to boo? What's the story? What are you trying to accomplish in the mind of the fan? You know, what is the story that you're trying to tell? Why should I be invested? Um, and kind of what are we going for? What's the end result of what we need to try to accomplish with the match? You know, so it is. Oh, King Kong Bundy, he needs a 5 count.
5 minutes remain in this fucking podcast. You know, it that's why when you do see something good, you're like, man, it's good. You know, we talk about Damian Slater's over here talking about all the stuff he's putting out there on his whatever that you
World
can go,
beater.
yeah, whatever
Yep.
you can go check out and stuff. But I don't think people are that interested in actually trying to understand psychology. You know, Brutal Bob Evans is out here, and I appreciate what he's trying to say. I really do. You know, I appreciate what he's trying to do, what he's trying to say, how he's trying to help people. I feel like a lot of times he gets mocked because they're like, why the fuck would I book you for, why would I do an online seminar? Why would I ask your advice? Who are you? You know what I mean? Even if they know who he is, it's like, why would I bring him into my training school if he's in, even if he's in the area? They don't want to listen. Someone like that's going to say something. That's what I was talking about earlier is criticism. If you tell me something sucks that I'm doing, 9 times out of 10, I probably already know it. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of times we're working with what we got. And that's one of the things that I've said before to people that have worked here or tried to help out. I said, this is what we got. And it's okay, but this is what we got right now. So if you can't do something with what you have to work with, then you're not going to be able to help out at all. You know what I mean? Like, I have 12 wrestlers. This show's going to happen. Nobody else is flying in. Nobody else is showing up. What can you do with these 12 wrestlers that we have? Oh, complain? Well, then you got to go, because that's not the answer that's going to work here. We need to figure out what we can do with what we have. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with using so much talent. I know you're a big proponent of using guys from other places, but man, I've done it for so long, and it just feels like it becomes just a wrestling show. And do they really care as much as your own talent cares? And the answer to that question is very simple. It's no, they don't care. You're not going to win with the other talent. You're not going to win with the other, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you're not going to do it with people that aren't there. Like, there's guys I love to death, and they show up and they work hard, and when they show up, they do what their job is while they're there. But there's so many times, like, I've never had them come in for training. I've never been able to get them to film anything. I've had belts on guys that aren't my own guys, and the belt is just going home with them. You know what I mean? They might take a couple pictures here and there with all the championships that they've won from around the fucking league, the leagues, which I hate those pictures so bad. Here, let me take a picture with all these fucking belts I have, which none of the buildings are packed and sold out to the max. But guess what I am? I'm the champion of 4 different promotions. Well, that's good for you. I'm glad you're proud of that. And that's okay to be proud of that. But in the same sense, don't be proud of an empty building. That's not what you should be proud of. You shouldn't be like, oh, there's 50 fans out here. It was such a fun night. What was fun about that? You know what I mean? You had to you still got to get up and go to work on Monday, maybe with a fucking headache too. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you got no sleep. You spent your money on gas and fucking shit food that's not going to do nothing good for your body. What was actually fun about that? I'm done. It's a question. I'm asking you. Well, what would be fun about that?
Not much, man. It's
Not much, man.
you're not going to have a lot of fun doing that. It's I guess best case scenario, it's a learning experience. It's a opportunity to work with somebody. But yeah, definitely not a whole lot of fun to be had wrestling in front of a small crowd. Obviously,
Positive on Friday, negative on Monday. There's gonna be dark Mondays and positive Fridays. That's what they're getting now.
that's it, man.
Close it. Close this out.
Well, for Paul Isadora and Zach Primetime Reeb, we're going over. Subscribe, like, and share,
Hit that.
motherfuckers.
Yeah.